Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 12, which is entitled as Bhakti Yoga. Sloka 12. Śreyo jñānam abhyāsāj jñānād dhyānaṁ viśiṣyate dhyānāt karma-phala-tyāgas tyāgāc chāntir anantaram. In order that one does not grieve about one being unqualified to practice Bhakti Yoga, which is a direct means for attaining the Supreme Lord, to attain liberation, and to prevent one from engaging in impossible tasks like the child standing up with raised hands attempting to grab the moon. Krishna graciously speaks of many means easy to practice and from which one can select what suits one the best. Once the choice is made from various means that Krishna has given, that is comfortable for one to take up and practice, and then from that stage gradually one raises to the next higher stage and finally be able to practice Bhakti Yoga, which is the only means to attain the Supreme Lord. So to repeat, there is only one means by which one can attain Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet. There is no other practices or direct means to attain Krishna, and that practice or that means is Bhakti Yoga. But for one to practice Bhakti Yoga, if the person is not able to develop that bhakti towards Krishna, then there are other means by which one practices those things, and that elevates one or makes qualified one to finally come to the stage where one can have an unalloyed bhakti, devotion, love towards Krishna, and practice Bhakti Yoga, through which one can finally reach the lotus feet of Krishna. And this is what Krishna is saying in this sloka. Let's see the word by word. Abhyāsāj. Instead of struggling with the practice of remembrance of Lord, jñānam, knowledge, the knowledge referred here is said to be the knowledge in the form of direct perception of the individual self, which means the knowledge which is referred is the Atma Sakshatkara, the direct perception of Atma, that knowledge, and that knowledge is the means for one to start meditating upon the Paramatma. Unless and until one has that knowledge, one will not able to focus on Paramatma. Jñānam, śreyo is better, jñānād, than the direct realization of the self, which is imperfectly achieved. Dhyānaṁ, meditation of self, viśiṣyate, is better. Dhyānāt, than imperfect meditation on the self, karma-phala-tyāgas, performing activities, renouncing the fruits of actions, śreyo, is better. Tyāgāc, through the first step of practice of action, anantaram, immediately, chāntir, purity of mind follows with peace. Translation. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. Let's remember Arjuna's position. Krishna, I tried to fix up my mind upon you continuously, but no luck. I tried to remember and appreciate your auspicious qualities, but no luck. I tried to engage my body to perform devotional service unto you, but no luck. For some reason, I am not able to develop that bhakti, that love and devotion towards you. I love to, certainly, not that I don't want to, but for some reason something is lacking in me, something is stopping me, something which I don't know what that is preventing me to practice bhakti yoga, to attain you. This was Arjuna's state of mind. Hearing the pitiable condition of Arjuna, the Supreme Lord, who is most compassionate, does not give up on anyone as long as one has a desire, but accepts the inability of not able to perform the highest stage of bhakti. Krishna always helps that person by giving options, and that is what we saw so far. Now that when Arjuna said, I can't do any of this thing, then Krishna said, better you do your dharma, karma yoga. This would be the best path for you. By practicing karma yoga, your chitta suddhi, your mind gets purified from all the material contamination, which means you will be able to focus your mind upon your Atma. So it is better to understand and meditate upon Atma, your Atma, one's individual Atma, than meditating upon me without love and devotion. Not that meditating upon Atma is greater, let's be very clear. Meditating upon Krishna is the greatest. But by meditating upon Atma, one will be able to progress to the next stage of meditating upon Krishna, which is the ultimate goal that every one of us wants to achieve. But because we cannot develop that connection to Krishna, Krishna is saying, connect to yourself first. If you cannot connect to yourself, if you cannot understand yourself, if you cannot realize yourself to be the Atma, then how can you try to understand, how can you try to realize, how can you get connected to someone who's further in distance? When we say in distance, not that Krishna is too far. He is within all of us. But the first level is Atma. And then the Paramatma who is situated within that Atma needs to be understood. If I don't even understand the outer layer, which is Atma, how am I going to understand the inner? Therefore, Krishna is trying to say that get connected to your Atma first. Do Atma dhyānaṁ. Come to Atma sakshatkara. By coming to that stage, you will be next able to focus upon me. So the point is, Krishna, that's my problem. I am not able to even focus on my Atma. I can't focus on you. I can't focus on my Atma. Even focus on Atma, if I sit for a few minutes, I go to sleep. Or I get so many different thoughts. My mind is so flickering, very distracted. Then Krishna says, well, if you cannot meditate upon Atma, then just remember yourself that you are Atma. You are not this body. If even that remembrance of Atma doesn't take place, that's right, Krishna, even that one doesn't take place. Okay, so you can't remember me, you can't remember your Atma, then the best thing for you to do is continue doing your duty. What is that I need to do? Well, that is your karma, that is your karma yoga. Practice karma yoga as per your varna ashrama dharma. Well, that should be an easy one, correct, Arjuna? Arjuna at this stage felt comfortable because this is something that he has been doing for many years, for many lifetimes, performing activities, performing karma for himself. Whatever he was doing is not new to him. Therefore, practicing karma yoga should not be a hard one for anyone to take up and do it. But the karma becomes karma yoga only when the person applies the most important principle, that is Trivida Tyaga, the renunciation of three principal things, that is kartritva tyaga, mamata tyaga, phala tyaga. Kartritva tyaga means I am not the doer. Mamata tyaga means I don't own anything, I am not the proprietor of any of these things. Number 3, phala tyaga, I am not interested in the results of my action. Therefore, Arjuna, do your karma yoga as an offering unto me. That is, I am not the doer, Krishna is the doer. I am not the proprietor, Krishna is the proprietor. The result doesn't belong to me, it belongs to Krishna. By doing the karma yoga in this manner, you will be able to get your consciousness purified. The obstacles, the sins, the vasanas which are stopping you to focus upon your Atman will be removed, cleared. You attain chitta suddhi. When that mind becomes purified from all this material contamination, then you will be able to focus on yourself without any distraction, disturbances. And when you attain the direct perception of Atma, then Parabhakti, the bhakti starts from that point onwards, where you will be able to develop that love towards me and will be able to think about me and will be able to fix your mind upon me, and then you will be able to attain me ultimately. In this sloka, as we see, it appears like Krishna is promoting karma yoga. He seems to be saying karma yoga is superior. But right from the last sloka of 6th chapter until this point, we have been studying how Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga system than anything that Krishna has covered prior to that. Then why is Krishna promoting Karma Yoga to be superior? Is that not contradicting? Why Krishna is changing his approach from Bhakti Yoga and going back and saying Karma Yoga, which is lower in the rung? Well, there is a very valid, genuine reason for that. One has to be stable at each step. For example, if I am climbing a staircase, before moving to the next step, I should be stable on the current step. Otherwise, I will not able to move forward to the next step. Another example is if a person is incapable of studying a higher education, higher class, then the person have to study something which is lower than the higher class. But when we say lower class, our mind immediately start thinking something bad about the lower class, considering it to be something not very great, not important compared to the higher one. For that reason, we many times try to glorify and speak about the virtue of the lower class. This is just to induce that person to get enrolled into that lower class first. If we don't do that one, the person may not have an interest to join the school, to join this class, the beginning class. But when we try to tell the importance and glorify this particular lower class, then one might develop an interest or attraction to get enrolled to the lower class. So the challenge, the most difficult challenge, is to get someone to get enrolled into the school. One thing to remember, these examples are given to convey a particular message, so it's easy for us to understand what is being said in this context. Therefore, do not take the examples to be literally the ultimate answer by comparing each and every factors with the actual subject. We may not be able to match each and everything. So let's take examples as just example, not as an ultimate comparison to the absolute subject matter that we are talking. This is just a disclaimer for not only for this, for anything that we are discussing with examples and metaphors and so forth. So when a person gets enrolled to the lower class, then he gradually move into the next class, next higher class, and then to the next higher class, and then to the next higher class. But this person will only get enrolled into the lower class if he hears something great about that class. Otherwise, this person will not be inspired to join that class at all. And this is the same approach that Krishna is taking by speaking the virtue and glory of karma yoga to get Arjuna enrolled into that program first. And when he gets started and does karma yoga with trivada tyaga, I am not the doer, I am not the proprietor, I am not interested in the result, then his mind gets purified. His vasanas will be wiped off. Mode of goodness, sattva guna, races, and he will be free from the impacts of rajoguna and tamoguna, mode of passion and mode of ignorance. When there is an absence of rajoguna and tamoguna, one will not be affected by attachments and hatred, raga and dvesha. When there is no raga and dvesha, one starts treating everyone equally. When one starts treating everyone equally, that means he understood that everyone is Atma, they are not the body. When a person understands that they are not the body, they are Atma, then they will be able to focus upon their individual Atma. From that point, he gradually able to enter into the Bhakti Yoga, where one can engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord and then start appreciating the auspicious qualities of the Lord and able to meditate upon the Lord constantly with the determination to attain the Lord. And he does attain the Lord finally. So the point is, a raw mango to a ripe mango is a natural progression if the fruit is to be enjoyable. Likewise, if someone is not attracted to Krishna, then they have to be given an option to start and gradually move towards Krishna to develop that natural love for Krishna. And this is what Krishna is trying to do here. Unless and until a person's digestive system is good, that person will not be able to enjoy a sumptuous feast. Likewise, if someone's system is loaded with sins and so many vasanas from previous lives, that person will not be able to enjoy the glories of the Lord. So that person have to increase his digestive power, which means that person has to get rid of his vasanas and sins, which are standing as an obstacle in the path of bhakti. Therefore, one performs karma yoga with trivida-tyāga. Now, let's connect all this thing back to our Krishna consciousness. And this is very nicely explained by Baladev Vidyabhushan in his commentary in Gita Bhushana. He clearly states that this instruction that Krishna is giving is not for exclusive devotees, but those who are unable to develop attraction towards Krishna. They perform nishkama karma, that is the karma yoga with trivida-tyāga, and that will help one to get purified and able to realize and have direct perception of Atma Sakshatkara, which then leads one towards Paramatma. One develops Parabhakti. So this method is for those who are not attracted to exclusive devotion. So it is upon the individuals to understand where they stand and what option they have to pick to gradually move forward towards Krishna to become a pure devotee. So to summarize, better than struggling with the practice of remembrance of Krishna, because the heart is bereft of love for him, is the prayer stage, which is Atma Sakshatkara. That is better. If one is unable to have that Atma Sakshatkara, again Atma Sakshatkara means having a direct perception of the individual Atma, individual soul. If one is unable to have that vision, that realization, then meditating upon the Atma is better. Remembering about Atma is better. If a person is unable to remember the Atma, meditate upon the Atma, then the practice of activities with renunciation of the fruits is better. This will be the first step to develop disinterest in the results of our action, by which we get purified, our mind becomes stable, after being purified, and then able to meditate upon Atma. And by the meditation process, one will be able to have the direct perception of the Atma. And once a person has a direct perception of the Atma, then will be able to practice bhakti. By practicing bhakti yoga, then one will be able to perceive the Lord within one's heart, Paramatma. And then that leads one further into the highest stages of bhakti, by which one finally attains Krishna's lotus feet. And this is the message that Krishna is conveying in this particular sloka. In the next upcoming 7 verses, Krishna describes the qualities one should have to carry on their action with detachment. śreyo jñānam abhyāsāj jñānād dhyānaṁ viśiṣyate dhyānāt karma-phala-tyāgas tyāgāc chāntir anantaram. Namaste. Hare Krishna.